I want either a Bichon Poodle mixed. They're called a...
Don't do it.
Why?
Well, first of all, when you can't pronounce or spell the name, it's a bad starting point.
It's called a Pouchon. How cute is that?
It's not.
And they don't shed.
I'm going to
You have zero room to talk about pet adoption. You have
listen,
like an entire farm in your house.
I've lost control of my household. It doesn't mean that I want more dogs.
And I'm talking about one little Pouchon or a Cavapoo.
I hope it poos all over your place.
A Cavalier King Charles Poodle mix.
They're just little yapper ankle biters.
No.
But you do you.
I support you in all your chickens and rabbits and
No, you don't. You make fun of me.
fish and dogs and thinking you live on a farm. I support you.
Well, thank you. I'm Josh Sigman, and I'm a mortgage lender. I'm also a geek for money, not just earning it and saving it, but literally everything about it. I love that money has rules. It has its truths. I love investment strategies, and I love making money work for us. For so many, money is emotional. For me, it's logical, like a puzzle. My passion is also helping others with their money. I love looking at people's finances, dissecting their puzzle, and rebuilding with strategy and purpose, and I'm really good at it. I'm making this podcast about my money strategies, not the things that are written in books or sold in programs. It's a podcast outlining the lessons I've learned and used for the past 15 years. These strategies help me and those who use them save more, give more, create wealth, and retire early. Let me teach you how to build your net worth. You ready? Welcome to Sigman Sense. All right, here we go. We are adding on a 2B slash section 3 of how to get shit done. The 2-segment piece on how to get shit done is being turned into a 3-segment piece. And welcome back to...
Can you say long-winded?
It is long-winded. Are you making fun of me?
You are long-winded.
Well, I'll just...
it is not long-winded.
I'm ignoring you, Brynn.
The host.
Welcome back to Sigman Sense. We are in a little bit of a mood right now, so it's kind of fun. But we want to finish up. You know, for if you are new, please like or subscribe at the end if you love it. If you are not new, thank you for paying attention and staying tuned.
Our loyal
Please share
followers.
it. Yeah, please share it with your friends and family as well if you think will help somebody. Because that's what this is about. We're trying to. It's a passion project for us, and it's really just trying to help people with their own personal finances and move the needle.
I told somebody, I said, tell all your friends so we can get rich together and all do cool shit.
That's right. That sounds fun. So we're going to finish up this segment on how to get shit done. In the last segment, one of the things we spoke about was the concept of a vision without a plan is as worthless as a plan without execution, or a goal without a plan is as worthless as a plan without execution. Same thing. So section 1, get your goal done. Section 2 was create and organize your plan.
Yes.
But now you got to do the hard work.
Now you have to
do the hard work. And there's no way around it. There's no one that ever ran faster, cut time off of a swim meet. There's no one that's ever lost weight easily. That later in life, it just doesn't work that way. And certainly sales goals, savings goals.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's just not easy, and it's a marathon. I mean, it's a marathon.
Yep.
So, what I do want to point out is how we have 2 episodes of getting ready.
Yep.
And I think that is worth pointing out because
that's pretty interesting. Yep.
It's I truly think that we do not spend enough time preparing and really thinking through what we want our goals to be and why we want them to be that. So just take note that there's 2 episodes worth of digging through all the clutter of really what do you want for yourself and for your life.
Yep. I'll tell you I'll tell the viewers very directly that if you're not willing to run through a wall for the goal, it's probably not the right goal that you need right now, right? Like if you're not really passionate about it, if it's more of an aside of I'd like to do blank, you're probably going to fail. You know, if it's a like versus a want and a desire and a passion and a purpose, then it's just setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's why you said it takes two episodes to knock out that piece. But now here's the part where you got to do the work. So let me tell you, I live in San Antonio, Texas. Houston is east. It's east on I-10. Okay. That's about, I don't know, 3-hour drive, 200 miles, something in that range, 180 miles. But if I didn't know where I-10 was and I didn't know how many miles it was, I could still get there by starting to walk east, start driving east, right? And so I think what a lot of people do is they on the flip side, there's people that don't plan enough. There are people that plan too much.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
they keep on planning and planning and planning and wait for the perfect freaking conditions. And,
right.
When the wind blows up my butt, then I'll start doing the work. And it's like, that is so annoying to me as a doer.
So annoying.
It's so annoying. And
just take action.
Take action, start driving. And what I believe is that start driving in the general direction and then make corrections. Like you can, if for example, you want to find the perfect route from your house to Houston, and you want to take 2 days to map it out, get your snacks right for the kids, know where the potty break's going to be, go ahead and get an oil change done, go ahead and get the extra fluids in your car and all that stuff. And then 2 days later, you start driving for Houston. And I just said, shit, I'm just going to start going east right now. I will be there first.
Yes,
right.
You will.
And so, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect. That's why I've got to use that analogy of start using the steering wheel and make some changes. So I think those two components are what we need to talk about in this last episode, which is, start acting and then also make corrections.
Make corrections.
Right. That's really section 6 and step 7. Right. So first one is making it happen, taking action. There's got to be a few things that happen along this, because nothing really is achieved easily that's not measured along the way as well. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you've got to do the work, but you also, especially whether you have an accountability partner or not, you've got to listen to the data as you go too, because you don't know if you should turn the wheel at some point if you're not actually looking at it. So, going back to the weight example, I always tell people the fastest way to lose weight is get on the scale every day. Right. And what do most people do? They never get on the scale because they don't want to see what the number is, and it's always
so
worse.
Scary.
Right. It's always worse when they finally get on it than if they just got on the damn scale every day and they made those, quick decisions along the way. But last section we spoke about was your calendar's reflection of your priorities. Yeah. This is where I get into something that is a issue with most people, which is people lie to themselves way too much. Yeah. Right. And if you're willing to lie to yourself, justify. If you're willing to lie to yourself, you're willing to lie to everybody else. And so you can't be the person you want to be if you don't do what you say you're going to do. If you don't plan to do it, don't do it. Don't tell people you're going to do something you're not going to do. Right. And as I've become a leader, I'm not a great leader. I think that leadership is something that you develop over a lifetime. And the only way you'll know if you were a good leader is if people show up to your funeral. And I'll make more mistakes along the way. But what I'm really clear is that if you could be a leader of a household, you could just be leader of your children. You could be a leader of your department.
Of your friends.
But here's what's really interesting. I've noticed the longer I've been a leader, which most of us are in some capacity, people are watching. They're always watching, and you rarely know that they're actually watching.
I know, and it's so weird. And a lot of times, like, as much as I hate to say it, like, it can be a point of frustration for me. Mm-hmm. It's like, why do people care what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Why do people care? And it should be an honor. I should take it more as an honor, but and I do at times. But there is a sense of frustration that comes along with it, because it's like, come on, like, I'm just over here trying to do my thing. Like, why do we have people analyzing,
Well, God forbid we should be held accountable to somebody else, but even worse, God forbid we should be accountable to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. And so a couple things I think about regularly. So, I've been married 15 years now, almost 16 years, I guess, this year. In a couple of weeks, I've got to get a present.
Oh, you better get it done. You have something in mind?
Of course I do. Because Christy's listening. I'm totally prepared. I ordered it 3 weeks ago.
Send ideas for Joshua by Christy.
That's right. But what I will say is, developing from a young married man, I was married at a young age too, to maturing as a person, then maturing in my marriage. One of the things that I literally I've had to think about in the past is if Christy was a fly on the wall, would she be okay with what she's seeing?
Oh,
right.
Interesting.
You talk about accountability, just assume that your wife is watching whatever you say to anyone, anywhere. In my business, it turns out that most realtors are most realtors are women. Most realtors are women. So I remember early on when I was like 25 years old, I was having lunch with a realtor because that's what we do. We get to know each other, we talk, and then if I earn business, then they'll send me business. And one of Christy's friends happened to be in the same restaurant and saw me having lunch with this lady. It was a pretty lady. But he literally called my wife and said, "Hey, just want to let you know that your husband's out with this woman at this place.
He's on a date."
Right. And, it was for sure harmless. For sure it was just business.
Yeah.
But somebody's always watching. That was a good thing for me to to recognize at a very early age is, whether it's with your spouse, whether, kids, oh my God, kids.
It's worth it. What we tell KK, as far as her phone goes and her text messaging is assume we are reading everything.
Yep.
Assume
because by
nanny.
the way, you are because you're a crazy person.
Wait, I'm just the crazy person or all parents are crazy people?
No, you're very crazy.
Hey, I just try to keep some good bumper pads around her, okay? They need help.
That's true.
So, but if you're going to send something, would you send it to nanny? Would you be happy if nanny saw that?
Yep.
And that is just a really good, that's a good little watermark and measurement point.
Yep. And just going back to the emotion side from section 5, a lot of people, that this is why they don't do goals in the first place, is they have the fear of letting people down or letting themselves down or making a plan they don't follow through on. I get that. But if you ever want anything in life and anything, you got to make that decision and then you've got to take the action. And so a couple of great books I reference all the time, both by Josh Metcalf or Pound the Stone and Take the Stairs.
Yeah,
no, sorry. Pound the Stone and Chop Wood, Carry Water. Take the Stairs is great too, but those two are personal favorites because what it really just talks about is it's just the daily grind, the daily action, the daily pursuit is what is the thing, right? And I can't tell you enough how important it is for kids to watch that. And if you are a leader of a department or a company or a sales team or something like that, it's do as I do, not as I say. So we talk about this with our team all the time that I'd be hard pressed for anyone on my team to say that I'm not outworking them currently. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people on my team that are busting their butts right now. Mm-hmm. And I'll put my hours personally up against anyone's right now. Right or wrong, it's just a busy time in our industry.
Well, and I think that you have, you've done a great job of, leading by example. But I can, both of us have had moments where we weren't leading great by example and got to watch what happens.
That was a nice way for you to say that I was not leading by example. And that is true, by the way. I like how you protected me. I appreciate that. But yes, that's exactly right.
I got that old sales spin on it.
That's right.
But we have seen what can happen and it's just not great.
Nope.
It's just not great. So with leadership comes a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so anyways.
Yeah. So here's something that you have to put, going back to your bumper analogy. So let's just say your goal is to put some time, 30 minutes or an hour a day into building your brand, building your company, building your body, whatever it is. Okay.
Building your wealth.
Right. So the book I accidentally referenced, I did so intentionally, I guess, subconsciously, because the book Take the Stairs by Rory Vaden, I think is an excellent book because of one-liner. It's my favorite thing that's in the whole book. And it's called the rent axiom. And the rent axiom says success is not owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. And so one thing that I did for years, and I've encouraged multiple people that I've coached to put it on their own calendar, is before they've left for the day, an hour before they've left for the day. So if you're working 9 to 5, so what you would do is put a calendar reminder that's a alarm that pops up at 4 o'clock, and all it says is, "Did you pay the rent?" Okay. So let me say this all again. The rent axiom is success is not owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. So an hour before you leave, you have a calendar pop-up recurring reminder that says, all it needs to say, did you pay the rent?
And so why an hour? So you still have time to correct?
Right. So, for example, if you are in sales, as an example, usually that comes down to, did you make your prospecting calls? Right. Which are the crappiest part of the job. No one likes to do it.
So interesting.
It's no one likes to do it, and it's their job.
And it's their job.
And they say, I want to grow this company's, bottom line today.
And then they don't even make the call. So that pops up. It says, did you pay the rent? Well, this is where you accept lying to yourself or you don't. Because you can't avoid the pop-up, right?
Yeah.
So now you've got an hour left. It's like, okay, dumbass, are you going to do it or not?
It's
right?
the last chance.
And what's really interesting to me is I've coached a few people in the past that are underperforming salespeople. And I'd question them 3 or 4 months later and say, hey, show me your calendar. And I know that they did pay the rent on the early parts.
And then they let it
At some point,
off.
they deleted it. No, they deleted it because they didn't like how it made them feel because they weren't willing to do the work, right? Which is why they're underperforming salespeople, right?
Yeah.
But same thing with your weight, same thing with your spirituality, right? Like, I don't care what your faith is. I happen to be Christian, so did you read Proverbs today? Yes or no? If your only goal is to read Proverbs 30 days in a row, right? Whatever it is, like, did you do it or not? It's the one thing you said that you were going to work on. You claim you put on your calendar. You're supposed to do it that time, and then this reminder pops up that says, "Hey, dumbass." You claim this is the most important thing in your life, and you didn't even do that. So apply it however you want. But this goes back to start driving, start doing.
Absolutely.
And we know, and we've talked about this in other episodes, that you're going to have a day. You're going to have a day where you're sick, your kid's sick, your company needs you, and you just get buried. And so,
or you just are having a day. And I think that it's worth bringing up. I don't think you can have too many just having a day, but allowing yourself a little bit of grace when you are, I think, is hugely important because if you're too hard on yourself, it's just another path to not following through.
Well, and this is the way I handle it for years is when that would pop up, if I really didn't get it done, for sure I was going to do it the next day. Like, it's a non-negotiable.
Right.
If my day got away from me, there's no way to get done. I for sure was not going to miss it twice in a row.
Right.
Because again, it goes back to, it's the one thing I said I needed to do to move the needle, and I didn't get it done today. I can't you can have a bad day. You can't have a bad week. You can't have a bad month.
That's a bad month.
Like that adds up to bad years in life. Right. So
just had a bad month.
Yeah.
It's just been a bad month.
I just had a bad month. I was off a little bit. Well, shit. Are you in business anymore? Do you weigh 800 pounds? Like, what happened now?
Bad month.
Right. So, and people do it, and people are listening to this, know that I'm right about this, and they get off track one day, and then there's no reminder. And so all of a sudden they wake up like, how the hell did I not work out this whole week?
Well, right? And I always equate it to digging a hole. Like, the further you dig yourself into that hole, the harder it is to climb out. And I talk about that with prospecting, especially when I'm coaching or training salespeople or marketing reps. It's like missing one day, missing 2 days. You start missing a week. You start missing 2 weeks. You are literally just digging a hole with no ladder to get back out of. So do not let that hole get too deep to where you can't literally jump out of it.
That's right.
Because it's very difficult once you fall into the rut of not doing it. You're out of practice, out of routine, and oof.
And this is where I also want to add in another book that I think is one of the best books for determining success. And the book is called Grit by Angela Duckworth. I think it is Angela Duckworth.
We talked a lot about grit recently.
I really do think it is the most important determining factor for success. I really believe that concept. Because it's, the easiest way to define it is, are you willing to do what's required every day, even when you don't want to, right? Are you doing whatever is required to get it done? End of story, right? So I'm going to cut the story in half. I'm going to tell one half of the story,
okay.
But it's probably the most important half, so I can shorten this. My son is awesome. He is one of the sweetest humans in the world. What I love about him is that he is the hardest worker out there. Like, he is not the best baseball player, but he's in a sprint and hustle and do whatever it takes every single day.
I love that.
He's not the, reading, for example, he's not great with reading, but he's working at it every single day, right?
Awesome.
So, when you're working on reading as an example in school, it affects all your grades, because if you are off on a paragraph on a math question, you're going to mess up on the math question.
Right.
And so, in January, what I love is he's at this point now where he understands a little bit more about value of money, and, he wants to play a game or buy a game. And I tell him, well, you have to earn it first, so that he understands that it takes work to get money to buy that. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, what do I have to do to earn $100? And he asked me in January. So all I said was, well, if you make A/B honor roll, all A's and B's this semester, which is not easy for him. He's done it multiple times, but it's not easy for him.
He's got to work.
He's got to work at it,
which is the point.
Then
right?
I'll give you $100, right? So even here at the end of COVID-19, a week or two ago, when this happened, he hit the grades, and we found out that he got AB honor roll, and he actually got the kindest kid award.
Oh.
Yeah.
There
you go, moms.
I think.
Yeah, there you go, moms. Make all your moms cry. But yeah, like the kid is the kindest human in the world, and he just sprinkles love on people.
I love that. I've told my kids before that in some ways I care more about their conduct grades than their grade grades, because I'm like, don't be an asshole. Like we have a strict don't be an asshole rule in my house.
That's good. That's good. Do you say it to him that way?
100%.
That's funny.
100%.
I don't curse at all. So it's not my best quality.
Sorry.
So my point is that we found out a couple weeks ago that he made AB honor roll, and it was a super big deal. My son was bouncing around and super excited about it, and I gave him his $100, and we did it in front of the family because I think it's important to build these habits and lifestyles. Right now, mind you, what I want to point out is for the last 5 months, even during COVID, he was reading with mom every single day. Yeah. Like he reads. He worked on it. And I know a lot of kids that, the last 2 months of the school year, because there was whether the parents were involved, no accountability, teachers, a half hour on the internet, maybe a day. Yeah. It's not real.
Right.
The truth is I know 99% of kids probably screwed off the last 2 months of the year. And, Christy did a really great job. She was a former educator. And she made my kids work 4 hours a day every day. And I was really proud of her, but my son worked. He worked and he got the ABs. So I got pulled to the side by my oldest daughter, Aubrey, just after I gave $100, right? And Aubrey pulls me aside and she's like, well, where's my $100? I said, well, wait, why do you think you need $100? Well, Aubrey always gets straight A's. It's just something that's easy for her. Sure. Everyone's a little bit, all kids are different. Mason has the things that make him special. One of the things that makes Aubrey special is like, education is easy for her. Yeah, exactly. It just has come naturally. It just is what it is. So
what it is.
I said, well, you didn't earn $100. And she was super confused. Right. She's like, well, why don't I get $100? I said, well, because you didn't have to work for the A's. I said, what's interesting to me, Aubrey, is that one of the things that you tell me that you want to do is you want to make one, she's going to 8th grade next year. And she wants to make freshman, in high school, freshman year, A team, either basketball or volleyball or both. And for the last 8 weeks, honey, I haven't seen you pick up the basketball or the volleyball. And so
doesn't it make you crazy?
It makes me crazy because I know that when she puts in the energy, whatever she wants, whatever she puts effort into, she's going to achieve. And so I told her, hey, Aubrey, here's the deal. I'll give you a way to make a guaranteed way to make $100. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have to pay you. She said, well, tell me, I'll do it. And I said, all you got to do is shoot 100 basketballs 100 days in a row and I'll give you $100.
Which is a pretty tall order.
It's really not. If you love basketball.
100?
100 shots? That's like 30 minutes.
So many.
Listen, I'm just saying if it's something that you say you want. So mind you.
I think it's great.
No,
I just think it's a tall order. But good for you. Good for you, you slave driver.
It's funny that you say that.
Just kidding.
No. Let's just talk about this. It's definitely less than an hour of work a day.
Really?
For sure.
For 100?
100 shots?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you the last time I picked up a basketball.
In an hour. You can take 3 shots easy a minute. So you can shoot 180 in an hour easy. So it's a half hour.
But 100 days in a row?
That's what I'm trying to teach her. And that's the point, right? So the point is I want grit.
But if it's 30 minutes a day.
What I'm trying to teach her is it's not about, I'm not asking you to fucking get out there and work 8 hours a day on basketball.
And you don't even have to make the shots, right?
I just said shots.
Just shots.
Yeah. So what I told her is that, I want you to go make 100 shots a day, 100 days in a row. I'll give you $100. And she's like, okay, that's easy. I'll do it. And I said, unfortunately, sweetheart, I probably won't have to pay you. And so she got out there 3 days, and the 4th day she forgot. And I was paying attention because I want to teach her this grit thing. And I noticed, and so I pulled her aside. I said, honey, sweetheart, unfortunately, I don't have to pay you your $100 anymore. And she was devastated.
She was pissed?
Oh, she was pissed.
What was she mad about?
Well, she wanted to make the excuse because it rained in the morning.
Oh.
It didn't rain in the afternoon, right? And that wasn't the deal. The deal was 100 shots, 100 days in a row, right? Yeah. So I said, well, so here's the deal. I'll give you another shot at it, but you don't get to start over with 96 left. You start back over at 100. What do you want to do? And she's been doing it since. I catch her. I keep taking pictures of her. She's doing her 100 shots. She's doing it without being asked. And I'm trying to train this. And here's what the point is I'm trying to make to everybody that's listening.
Send her a picture every day. Send it to her.
Oh, I do.
So she's got.
Well, I walk over. She sees me taking a picture of her. She knows what's happening. What the point is I'm trying to get across to everyone that's listening is this. People are not willing to do even kind of the work that's required. But if she took 100 shots 100 days in a row, that's 10,000 shots in 100 days.
Wow.
Okay. Do you think that might move the needle on her chances to make freshman team a year and a half from now?
Yes.
Especially if she keeps it going.
And think too, if she does all this work and then doesn't have a better shot for some reason, at least now there's a gauge of what it's going to take. Yeah. If that wasn't it, then okay,
maybe
what do we need to do?
20 shots. Maybe you only need 60.
Maybe only 60, or maybe you need to change this or that. So what an amazing tool to use as well to figure out really how to nail the goal, right?
What's funny is Mason heard all that scrap, so he's in for $100. Well, what's funny is this is where his grittiness is where he wins. So he's never pitched ever, and all of a sudden he wants to pitch. So I said, okay, well, you throw a bucket of balls 100 days in a row, I'll give you $100. Well, that kid is first thing in the morning throwing balls. And this is what I'm trying to get through to everybody. Everybody needs to listen to this piece, okay? You say that you want something, but you do shit to do it to get there. Like 30 minutes is 30 minutes. It's not a long. And if you just, the adage of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Most of you are listening, and whatever the goal was, I want to get out of debt. I want to get in shape. I want to increase my sales. Whatever that is, that end goal seems insurmountable and unbelievable. Yeah. And there's no way I can pay off this $50,000 of credit card debt that I had to add up on me. I'm not asking you to pay off $50,000 a day. I'm asking you to work on 30 minutes of like just look at your credit card statement every day.
Every day.
Like one of my students I'm coaching on money, what I did is I said, hey, because he asked me directly, he said, how do I get out of credit card debt? For sure. I said, it's really easy. Okay. Take your average spending for the last year, divide it by 12, shave off 10%, limit your spending to that, and keep on working and making more money as you go. And so all we did was shave it back. He said, wait, let me get this straight. You just want me to look at it? I was like, yeah. Like, just look at it. It's the same reason. Like, get on the scale and do something. Get on the scale and do something. Right. And what you were referencing, which is what's giving you information, is we have information then to steer. Because here's what everyone needs to understand is just because you made a plan doesn't mean you made a good plan. Right. So you might have had you maybe finally nailed it on the goal that you want to have, the vision you want to have. You finally nailed that piece. And you came up with a plan. It does not mean the plan's going to get you that goal.
We haven't even talked about that.
No.
We have not even talked about that.
And that's why we needed a third episode.
And I think we do assume that just because we have a plan, that's the key. Well, that's the key. Yeah. I've done the work. I've got the plan. And now, golly, it's just, that's not how it works.
I want to lose 20 pounds. The way I'm going to lose 20 pounds is I'm going to work out every day for an hour. Well, I guaranteed to lose 20 pounds. No, why?
Because you are putting crap in your face.
Amen. That's right. So great. The plan was work out an hour every day, but I've been that guy that I've never not worked out. You've seen me do this for 15 years. Yeah. I've worked out with forever, but I've been fat Josh many years. And the reason why I say this out loud is that I had to finally decrease my consumption of alcohol and watch what I'm putting in my freaking mouth. And now we have a better plan.
Right.
And because we've got a better plan, and also take a third step. I was working out, doing the stuff I like to do, pick up heavy things, right? Mm-hmm. But picking up heavy things doesn't increase my heart rate.
Right.
So it actually bulks you up, So now I got personal trainers. And the reason I pay for these personal trainers is to make my life suck. They make me sweat off 5 pounds a day. They make my heart jump through my chest when they make me work out. They're not taking it easy on me.
Right.
So now I've got a better plan. And this is the small tweak, the steer, correct. But you still had to do the work.
Still had to do the work. And I think that, one of the notes on here is finding multiple ways to win. And I think it ties in a little bit, but okay, so let's take like the losing weight and the nutrition stuff as an example for a second. finding multiple ways to win means don't just get on the scale, because as an example, like when I was working, or when we started working with Stephanie, I started working with Stephanie. She said, look, I don't want you just to do a calories in, calorie out, because you're not going to maintain that muscle mass. And I don't want you to lose your muscle. So we need to
muscle
work,
weighs more than fat.
Right. Which also means we can't just look at the scale. There has to be other ways for you to feel like you're winning. So that comes in the way of measuring, but also grab that pair of jeans that you love or you want to get back into and try them on once a week, because you will be able to feel the difference, but the scale may not reflect it, right?
That's very.
And so finding different different ways to measure that are all going to the same goal, I think is important. And then that will also help you, again, having more information, right? So if you do all three of these, get on the scale and you measure and you've got the pair of jeans, and the more points you have of reference, the better you can then report back to your trainers or whoever and say, here's the information, which is what I would do with her. Every week I would send her my weight and then all my measurements. And she would say, okay, so you haven't lost any weight, but you're down 2 inches. Let's try this. And helps you kind of perfect the plan.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a paid trainer in most things we're talking about. One of the best questions I every single time I coach anyone in business, the only question I ask every single time is, what is your biggest frustration right now?
Right.
Because intuitively we know what it is. So in business, what's slowing us down or getting in the way of whatever goal we have? What's your biggest frustration with your weight? What's your biggest frustration with in your heart what your biggest frustration is. And when you think about it, what I always talk about is we all have we're in a boat. We are the boat. And we all have lots of holes below water level.
Yeah.
Some of them are bullet holes. Some of them are cannonball holes. The cannonball holes are usually what you would actually say is the biggest frustration in your life. But what do we go back and work on and fix? We put our little fingers in the dike. We put our fingers in the little bullet holes, right? And we're not actually addressing the real issue, which was, pick up heavy things, but don't watch what I'm eating, right? So that's the concept that we're talking about. So it's good to pick up heavy things, right? But I've got to keep on adding and tweaking and tweaking. But it goes back to paralysis of analysis. I find is more often the reason why people don't get started is they overthink what needs to be done, and or the emotional side of, I don't think I can ever get what I think I want in the first place. So if you just start walking, you'll get to the end of it. There's a guy that I was watching on the news 2 weeks ago, I think, that I want to say that it was 180 days. The guy rose, anyways, it's the modern day Forrest Gump. This guy literally ran across the United States.
Holy hell.
He just finished. He just got the West Coast. He went from the East Coast to the West Coast. He went through 12 states. He literally ran across the country. It was 3,000 miles, right? And I guarantee you, he had this cool idea. And the night before he was just starting to run, he probably had some daunting thoughts in his head of, am I really going to be able to do this? Am I really going to tell my family I'm going to run for the next 6 months or whatever? And along the way, for sure, he probably questioned the idea. I guarantee, I don't know where his route was, but certainly if he got into a desert or a mountain, he probably rethought his choices. This shit sucks. Why am I doing this, right? But he got to the end. And this is where what you were talking about, which is you've got to create success points along the way, right?
Totally.
I hope the guy stopped in Nashville. And had a badass time in Nashville. I hope the guy stopped in New Orleans and ate some great gumbo.
Absolutely.
And then he certainly had to stop in Texas and get some great barbecue. But we've got to create these points along the way, whether they're celebration points. When we talk about working with teams or sales goals or company goals, it's not good enough to have this goal for the end of the year. You have to have your monthly goals or your weekly goals that you can celebrate and high five. In our team, we talk about weekly units, leads, and volume goals, and we high five at the end of the week or we pout, right? And if we high five, we have something called a Friday. And literally at the end of the week of, great job, guys. Whether we had a fun week or a pretty painful week, it was great job. We hit our goals or we didn't. And you got to create the celebration points. There in dieting and exercise, a lot of people will talk about a cheat meal or a cheat day.
Right.
You know, have ice cream on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, great job.
Still live.
Right. It's not going to crush your entire diet for the week. Have ice cream one time a week. Right.
Yeah.
So as we work through it, when it goes to the taking action part, it is, it's Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. And that's probably what that runner was doing for the last 200 days.
Yeah.
Just put a foot in front of the other. Just put one foot in front of the other. You'll get there eventually.
The other thing too that we haven't talked about, and just really quick on this, is incorporating some fun goals as well. Not that all goals suck and are terrible, right? They're good. But as an example, you know, a couple years ago, I had the goal of learning how to golf. The year after that was, I want to learn how to shoot a gun, or shoot handguns. And so incorporating some of those more fun things or recreational things that, you know, can go alongside some of the harder work you're going to have to do is also a really nice offset. So think about something fun that you want to do with your life, or something you want to learn how to do. That could be more of a, just recreational, right? And then, you know, all along the way is just really just continuing to review and, not letting yourself get down when you do have a off day, but also like being really into it. How do you feel? Not just physically or not, but really like, how does it feel to know that you have a really buttoned up tight budget? Like, how does it feel? Like, we had our budget meeting yesterday and it just feels good. Can we do better? Yes. Do we have a long way to go to hit some of the goals? Yes. But the fact that it is on paper, we can look at it, we can produce it, right? And we can have a confident and comfortable conversation is pretty freaking legit. It just feels good. To be able to say, I wake up every day and I get on my treadmill, or I go and meet my friends and walk in the morning. That just feels good to be able to say. So how does it feel emotionally? How does it feel physically? And how, just in general, how does it feel to be that type of role model, or that leading that example for your family? So I think that's really it. Just continue to review. What do you want to finish on? My
last thing that I want to finish up on this piece, you know, the reviewing segment, you know, 6 was making it happen. 7 was reviewing. There's nothing to review if you don't keep track. So I think what the last piece, which would go into the last bit of homework for everybody, you know, would be put the rent axiom on your own calendar.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead and put in there, you know, did I pay the rent on your calendar, 4:00? But the second thing is you have to create a scorecard. It's just a game.
Yeah. Just
Don't
a game.
take your life so fucking seriously.
So true.
It's just a game. You know, Christy has asked me before, it's like, what is driving you? And because I'm a weirdo and I've got a different gear than some people do. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And the reason why she asked me that, you know, it's like, you know, I've had those days, like a lot of people, where I've stayed up late and drank with my buddies till 3 a.m, but I didn't miss my 5 a.m. workout, right? Because that's the game.
Right.
And so she's asking me, like, what's your deal, dude? And
what is your deal?
And what my answer is that I believe that a life worth living is just the idea of you better next year.
Yeah. I like that.
That if you're constantly improving, I don't care what your stage in life is. I don't care your age. I don't care what your daddy did or didn't do for you. I don't care what your life challenges were. I care about, are you doing something to improve?
Yes.
Just
amen. For the people in the back.
Do something to move forward. And,
yes.
And that's it. You know, I want to have a better marriage. It doesn't mean I have a bad marriage. It means why wouldn't I want to have a better marriage next year? I want to have better finances. Do I need better finances? People would argue no, but why the hell wouldn't I want better finances?
Yeah.
I want to have a better body. Why? Not because I'm trying to pick up girls. It's because I want to live till I'm 100.
I want to be able to walk.
And I want to be able to walk and play with my great grandkids, not just my grandkids. You know, I want my business to grow. Why? Because I need more business? No. But if I can grow the business, I can employ more people.
Yeah.
I can affect their lives. I can help more clients with their dream of home ownership. So why the hell wouldn't we move the needle in those areas? And so
I love that.
My point is, whatever it is that you finally decided on, please create a scorecard and just play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll argue that if you play the game, win or loss, you're still better than you were yesterday.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of my final thought. So
I love it.
if you enjoyed this episode and the previous 2 that came with it, please like and subscribe to Sigman Sense.
And share with a friend.
Share with your friends. And we have to get back to work.
We
so
gotta go to
God
work.
bless you guys. Talk to you later.